A little while ago, this is, geez, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, I guess. I just remember driving by the Big Boy, as we call it here, and I know some people who were involved in donating that big train that I met over at the Masons Lodge, and I noticed that there was a caboose sitting next to it. And so my question was, well, where did that come from? So first off, where did the caboose come from?
Well, the caboose is owned by a local non-profit in Cheyenne, High Plains Railroad Preservation, and it was restored over about a 4-year period.
Okay.
And we decided to bring it into the park to become the site office for the Big Boy project.
Now, that's a little bit disappointing to me because I was hoping we would get to keep the caboose.
It's a possibility. There's always a possibility. Yeah. We would like to see the caboose put behind Big Boy as a static exhibit.
I would think that would be a great display on that.
Because for about 6 years, they could have run together, those two items.
They could have, yeah. And I just think cabooses are neat. And we were just talking about how many people besides me think that a old caboose would make a great micro home.
We get asked that all the time. And when people come into the caboose and look through it, they just automatically think they could be very happy living in it.
Yeah, there's actually a lot more room in there than most people would think the way they lay those things.
That's right.
So before we get to the Big Boy, where does that particular caboose come from? Do you know?
We found it out east of town on land owned by Bill Briggs, who's a former UP employee. His father bought it as their first home in 1947 from the Union Pacific, and they lived in it for about 5 years.
So it was used as a micro home.
So it was used as a micro home, and quite a few cabooses were bought for that purpose when UP got rid of them back in the 40s. And then we found it derelict there in 2012, and Bill donated it to us. And we moved it and have been restoring it back to its original condition since then.
Okay, so that's probably why when I take a look at, well, you said original condition. So I guess if they were to make a house out of it, they would have had to find where to put the beds and things like that. So, I mean, there's like benches that go up either side.
Yeah, there's benches inside, which is where the crew would have slept on.
Right.
And used for seating. They had a desk at one end. They would sit there and write all their reports out and that kind of thing. And then up in the cupola, the piece on top, which sticks up, is where they would have sat when they were working, watching the train in front of them.
Right. And then that big old, and I just love these things, big old pot-bellied stove in there. That almost looks like, it kind of looks like it sits in the kitchen area.
They had, underneath the cupola, there were lockers and cupboards where they kept their food and provisions and bedding for the trip. They had a icebox there as well to keep all their food in, and the stove was next to that where they cooked all their food and kept warm.
Any estimate, or do you know how old that thing is?
It's 1913. It's one of several hundred built in 1913.
And it would have run up the tracks right here through Cheyenne.
It could have been anywhere on the UP, but it ended up in Cheyenne, so the chances are that it was based here.
Okay, that's not now. It's right up on a trailer now, but like you said, that's going to be the office for. And I was one of the jerks that as soon as I saw it, I jumped up on the thing to look through the window. But now you got a fence around it, so people like me can't do that.
That's right. That was the whole reason. We saw you jumping up on it, and we put a fence around it immediately.
Yeah.
No, the reason is that we have to keep it fairly secure because it's going to be part of the site office and a Big Boy project, so we have to fence it in with that project as well. In about a month's time, to maybe 3-4 weeks' time, the Big Boy will actually be enclosed completely in a tent, and you won't be able to see it for several months.
Now that gets out to the next part of this, because a friend of mine was really upset because he saw paint on it, and he assumed that a bunch of damn kids went over there and sprayed graffiti all over that. And it's true, the people who were spray painting the thing were almost arrested. That would be you.
That's correct, yes. We and strangely enough, the gang that were spray painting it were all wearing Wasatch Railroad contractors' sweatshirts as well. So we didn't do a very good job of it. And what we were doing was labelling the jacket, the boiler jacket, because the whole jacket has to be removed and replaced, and then the asbestos behind that has to be removed, which is why the Big Boy will be completely tented for a month or so.
About a month or so. Okay, now, as you're fixing up the Big Boy, how extensive is this? Because I know you're talking about the outside so far. Anything inside happening?
Yeah, the cab will be refurbished as well. All the windows have been taken out already. You may have noticed that. All of the asbestos behind the firebox will have to come out as well. And then we hope to rebuild the cab and replace some missing items in there to make it look more authentic. And also we're hoping to, although it's not kind of currently in the scope of the project, we really hope to add lighting to it when it's finished, and some other enhancements to make it more of a live project than or a live display than a static display.
And I understand that, because the first time I saw the thing, what I thought was, well, it looks to me like the engineering compartment, if you call it that, is closed in enough that I can't see what would have gone on in there. And I would really love to get a good look at all the old controls and stuff like that. Is there ever a chance, I know you don't want people crawling all over the thing, but getting us in a position where we can get a better look at the workings of it?
There was. That was initially going to be part of the scope of work, but it was cut out due to costs. There was going to be a walkway up to the cab that people could use to actually view the cab itself. So later on, that may well become a reality. And we've actually had people who've offered to donate towards the project to see things like that happen, and the city would be very happy to hear from people that would like to see that, and also to have other comments from people on what they would like to see down there.
Now that's what I want to get into next. I got the music already rolling up for news here, but I want to ask about how people can get involved in this project, because I know you're going to need some help on that. And also Wausau Railroad, what exactly is that? To Mr. Mike Pannell, and you are the gentleman who brought in the caboose, or is it Wausau that brought it in? Who's
Wasatch Railroad Contractors are who I work for, and they're doing the actual restoration on Big Boy. They're a Cheyenne-based company, and they specialise in building steam locomotives of all sizes and restoring steam locomotives and railroad cars.
Are people, I'm sorry, I'm naive about this, still using steam locomotives?
People are still using steam locomotives, and they still require new boilers to be built and locomotives to be built as well. We have a boiler being built for a locomotive in Switzerland at the moment. Possibilities of some locomotives for another far-flung country, and we build locomotives and work on boilers on tourist railroad locomotives here in the US.
Now, are they still, again, I'm just naive, how are they boiling the water now? Are they still shoveling coal, or have we gone to something else?
Oil firing is quite common. For many locomotives, coal is still common, certainly miniature locomotives like the ones we use down at the event centre on the railway down there. They're coal-fired because people love that smell of coal smoke and the originality of it. Yeah.
No, I really just love to see an old coal train going down like that, and I kind of miss that era. I mean, while I'm really impressed with the big bad engines we have today, I do kind of miss that era. But the fact that you're still building them today. Now, again, where's your facility located?
Facility is on Parsley.
Okay.
And people are welcome to come and visit and see what we
do. Count me in. I'm going to show up and get
absolutely,
a tour of the place.
Yeah, by all means, come and look around. We'll show you what we do. It's we're one of really a handful of places in the US that do that kind of work, that specialise in that kind of work.
Now, here at Holiday Park, again, Big Boy is what's going to be refurbished there, and we were talking about some of the work you're going to get there, which sounds interesting, especially if you're going to light it up and all of that when it's done. We have a possibility of being able to walk up some steps maybe and see that. So is there anything that you could use from the people of Cheyenne as far as help is concerned?
There is, yeah. The city would like to hear from people about their thoughts, what they'd like to see happen to Big Boy, with Big Boy. And we did have some people offer to donate, and I talked to the city about that, and they're more than happy for people to go down to the municipal building and fill out a form, and they can actually donate towards that specific project and to the enhancements that we'd like to carry out on it.
Okay. Now, again, it's going to be about a month. You say. So the time you're going to cover it when to when?
We're going to cover it from the beginning of February right through, probably through March and April. The project is due to finish in June, but we're hoping to have it finished by depot days in May. Okay. But that's going to be dependent on the weather, because we're going to be sandblasting and repainting the whole thing as well. And obviously
now, you guys certainly have the facilities. I mean, Wausau's right here, so obviously you have everything you need. So does most of the work happen at the train, or is some of this going to go back to your facility?
Yeah, a lot of it will go back to the facility. The reason we labelled the boiler jacket, the whole black boiler area on the locomotive, was so that when we peel that jacket off, all those pieces will go back to the shop and get replaced, remanufactured, and then bring them back to the site to go back on. The domes on top of the boiler, the big two large sand domes, they were full of sand still from the 1950s. We had to take out 2,000 pounds of sand
Wow.
from those, and they're going to be lifted off and taken back to the shop to enable us to get it to the boiler itself properly.
Okay. Here's what I would like to work out with you guys, and I'm very serious about this. I go around with cameras and video, all sorts of things, archive stuff. Somehow work out with you guys to get a video of the progression of this refurbishment to put together when it's all done. So not only can I throw it up on my website, but you guys can have the video and say, here's how this happened piece by piece all the way until it was finished. And so I would have to get, of course, I know we have jobs, but will you be working on this yourself?
Yes.
You will?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to work out getting some pictures and videos of various parts of it, I have the editing studio myself, and I can go ahead and put the whole video of the thing together, maybe talk to some people like yourself who are putting this together, and we can just get a record of it.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah, that'd be really good. Very good.
Yeah, let's go ahead and work that out. All right. Well, if people want to help out, again, how do they do that?
Go down to the city offices down on O'Neill, and talk to them about how they can donate specifically to that project, and they'll direct them to the paperwork they need and to answer any questions they have.
All right, Mike. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Corporate